audience. Welcome to this week's Good Work Show. We have a good show with some good friends on the show today.
I know. Guess what, though? It's my birthday show.
It's your birthday. We're going to party. No, we're not.
No.
Anyway, so... Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
How old are you?
I'm younger than you.
That's not saying that much.
No matter what.
Anyway, that's true, but not by much. Here, chin. No, it's good. Anyway, but happy birthday. I should have brought you, get that Rice Krispie treat. That Rice Krispie treat that's offset was your birthday treat.
That's sad.
No, I get you something else. I'm not going to bring it on the show, though, because,
that wouldn't
then
be
you
right.
don't want to share it with everybody else.
No, I don't. No, I won't share.
So what are you doing for your birthday besides the Good Work Show?
We're going to talk to some really great people today.
Ooh, but what else are you going to do? Because that's like almost lamer than my birthday.
I don't know.
Oh.
Something.
Oh, well, we'll
I'm
do something.
assuming that there would be a Publix cake involved.
Oh, of course. You know what? You should write into Publix and then say that you're the biggest birthday cake or just cake advocate, and they should give you a cake like every year on your birthday.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, and Starbucks, they should sponsor your birthday like for real.
Starbucks does give you the free drink.
No,
on
they
your
should
birthday.
like
they should.
I
Sponsor
mean, you
my
dressed
life.
up as Starbucks for Halloween. That's some commitment.
I was. It was a good. Though, now that you mentioned
You
it,
should really write that in. Starbucks, if you're listening, please, this is your most loyal fan. Well, one of you, I'm sure there's a lot of people who
you know
are.
what, though? I buy cheap drinks, though, at Starbucks.
But you buy them every day, like sometimes twice a day. That's kind of a lot.
It is.
They owe you.
They really do.
I would write in. My dad's, that's my dad's go-to thing.
Write a letter?
You should write a letter.
People love writing a letter.
I should have been written a letter to Oprah, Obama, Michelle Obama, every president there was.
But you know what?
Every rich person I should have written a letter.
If you had written a letter, like Meghan Markle wrote the letter to, where did she write the letter?
Come on, that's
and
Meghan
then
Markle.
she became a princess. So
that's you know what? But that
started her
How many people are Meghan Markle?
But I'm just saying,
how many people are Meghan Markle? One.
If you had written a letter
when
you were 11, you could have been a princess.
I am a princess. That actually is my dad. That's actually my nickname that my dad has. I am. Call Gerald Armstrong right now and ask him.
Everybody's nickname from their dad.
It really is. I'm telling you. And that was my CB name. So my dad used to be into CB radio. I'm telling you.
The stories about your dad
get better. This is some good stuff.
I know, but they get better and better. Like there's always like another layer.
Yes. So he used to be in CB radio. And so all of us had a CB name, and mine was Princess. My sister's name, she didn't like hers.
What was it?
Cream Puff.
Your sister is going to kill you. That's the second story you've told about your sister.
But she didn't make it up. That's the name my dad got. His is Super Snake. I don't remember what my mom's was.
We're learning a lot about the Armstrong family today.
Yes.
I'm trying to think, did I have a nickname? I told you my mom didn't believe in nicknames.
That's true. You did say that.
She didn't believe in nicknames because everybody in my dad's family
had wrong
nicknames.
Name. Yeah.
And nobody knew what anybody's real name was. So she really didn't let us have nicknames.
Yeah.
Like that just wasn't, she's like, I decided what I was going to name my children. So that's what you.
But did you ever get called your middle name?
No.
What is your middle name?
Anika.
Oh, that's a good middle name.
I like my name.
Yeah.
No. So
I never knew your middle name.
Oh, there it is. The furthest I would get for a nickname, because my name is
government documents and everything.
Right. There's that. The furthest anybody ever went was Niecy Ann. That was the furthest anybody ever went with a nickname. Because Trinice.
Oh, okay. I was getting ready. I was like, I didn't get the.
That's as far as anybody ever went. But no, we didn't have
Niecy. Where'd the Ann come from?
Anika. ANN.
Oh.
Ann. Yeah.
Yeah, I was slow on the draw.
Yeah, I see that.
Slow the draw. Sorry, I didn't get all of that.
It's fine.
Okay.
But no, we didn't. Yeah, we didn't do. We didn't have. We did have a CB. You remember those panel vans, like the really good vans?
My dad had the van and the CB radio.
So did we.
With the big antenna on the back, and he had it at his house. Now
we didn't have it at the house, but we had it in the van because that was we were like my family. Sometimes I look back at my life and I'm like, I lived in a sitcom. So like we did we piled in the van and we drove to the Grand Canyon. Like I feel like if things happened on the Cosby Show, like
That's what you did.
Didn't happen. So like the Cosbys drink apple juice, we drink apple juice. Like Vanessa couldn't wear makeup till she was 13. That was the rule in my house. I don't know where those rules came from, other than Claire
Cosby
Huxtable.
Show. Yeah. So your parents got all of their parenting from the Cosby Show.
From the Cosby Show. They drove to the Grand Canyon. Well, get in the car.
Did you play football?
I did not play football.
Oh, you didn't get that one.
I didn't.
Did your dad run track?
No, my dad played basketball.
Oh, okay.
But my parents played tennis.
Okay.
Before they got old, and then they played golf. But
Anywho, yes.
We have a good show. We should tell people about it.
Yes. So speaking of nicknames, so the first time this guest came on, we had to ask him. What?
No, you were not going to. No.
See, I wasn't even going to go there. I was saying we were going to ask him how to pronounce his name, and now I know how to pronounce his name. I wasn't even going
to the story. Off-air conversation.
I was not going to the story that you thought I was going to. Okay. Anyway, Phil Olaleye is going to come on. He is the executive director of Next Generation Men and Women. And they've been like an annual guest for us. They've been on a lot of times, but really great organization that is supporting our youth and connecting them to so many opportunities. And we've talked to a lot of organizations that are serving youth on the show. But one of the things that Next Gen does really well is connecting the youth to opportunities for them to meet and see professionals.
Yes.
And you know, a lot of times if you don't see it, you don't kind of know it's out there. And so that's one of the ways that Next Gen is pouring into the young men and women and allowing professionals like you and I and other professionals out there to get involved easily. I mean,
it's so easy.
It's so easy. And we had a great time.
Oh my God.
When we hosted the group of students, it was just a fun day. They were fun. We did a fun activity. We learned just as much from them as they learned from us. And we may or may not have heard about trips to DC and broken limbs.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
But it was fun. Those students were so smart. So much personality, energetic, and they were just winners all around.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty cool.
So that was exciting. Okay. We had a guest all of a sudden.
Yeah.
They were in the wrong spot. But that's okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
We'll keep going.
Yes.
And then we have, hold on.
Jack Williams.
Excuse me. Jack Williams. Who is the founder of the Ideals Foundation. And the organization's been around for a while.
Yes, like 3 decades, I think.
Yeah, so crazy. Great to see an organization with longevity.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of organizations don't last, but they've been around, and they're basically teaching, at its foundation, it just seems to be like teaching students how to be good people.
I think so. I mean, and Jack, we'll have him on the show, but I think he's a former football coach. Mm-hmm. So he's been around youth for a long time, but really, you know, getting that student athlete, which is so important. I remember, being in high school, you knew who the star athletes are. You always know.
Yeah.
You know, even if you don't like them, you always know who they are in the school, and they always, they carry a lot of weight with, influencing what the school does and who follows them and who's watching them.
Was your football team good when you were mine was? We lost one game in the 4 years that I was in school.
I feel like every school I went to, the year I went, it was always not good. But again, I don't know. Anyways, I mean, some of my friends were athletes and they were on the football team. I should probably say yes, because some of those people are still
your friends,
at least on Facebook. So if I say, they were really bad, that might get somewhere. They were great.
We had a really good football team. So to that point, that the football team was, it was a big
influential.
Deal. We literally lost one game in the 4 years that I was in school. So
how about college?
College, we were very good.
Oh,
while I was there.
Well, excuse me.
Saying.
I'm not a football fan.
I'm just saying, I went to the Rose Bowl. It was successful. It was a great game. It's wonderful.
That's why I watched professional basketball.
And
I root
she's
for a winner.
She's the worst kind of fan. Elena's the worst.
No, I'm the best kind of fan.
No, she has no loyalty to a team. She has a loyalty to only just the best player on the planet. So no matter where,
I'm not sure that even is a bad thing at all.
I'm just saying that other people, you pick a team and you ride or die with your team. That's where you go. Whatever.
I cannot.
Because what happens when LeBron retires? Then you just pick somebody else?
No. I'll still be a LeBron fan.
So you'll be a Bronny fan. That's what you're waiting on? You're just waiting for...
I don't see what's wrong with Bronny. Do you?
No,
do you see anything wrong with LeBron?
I'm just saying that my point is...
This is coming from a Miami Heat fan. Let's just leave that right there.
What? I have no... Here's what. I am a grateful Miami Heat fan.
The haterade from the LeBron. That's why we even went there. I didn't even bring up LeBron. As you can see,
you said you were a professional
basketball. And there are other players I like in the NBA. I just happen to be...
But my point is,
most of my fandom goes to LeBron James.
My point That's all I'm saying. Is, since I have
people
known
who
Elaine,
are like me,
she has been a Heat fan, she's been a Cavs fan, and now she's a Laker fan. And I'm like,
right.
These things
I am a Golden State team fan. Now,
until they play the Cavs.
No. I root for both. I've gone to the game where I have rooted for both. And even when the Cavs lost.
Who do we have to talk to get some tickets this season?
I don't know.
We know some people.
LeBron?
I don't know him. No, but
I wish I did know LeBron.
Time. What's it, September?
You're the ticket connection.
I know. I was just thinking
for here.
So I was just putting it in the back of my mind.
I want to go to the Staples Center. Can you call up Staples?
No. I cannot.
Well,
I may be able to get you into State Farm. This is as much as I can do.
Well, you know what? Let's
get us into State Farm.
How?
You've got connections now?
Oh, State Farm. I was still on Staples. I'm still on LeBron.
Exactly.
See?
And there's the point.
LeBron is... Shout out to LeBron James.
Because he needs our support. He doesn't get enough of it.
He doesn't get it.
I will say this.
A lot of people don't like LeBron.
I will say,
and I enjoy
there's not much I enjoy more on Instagram than Taco Tuesday.
No. I need a Taco Tuesday shirt.
We can do that.
Let me get the one with LeBron on it though, because have you seen that one?
You're listening to The Good Work Show.
To learn more about the show and how your company can tell their story, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @Good Work Show.
Audience, welcome back to The Good Work Show. We're excited because we're sitting here with our buddy. This is our friend, Phil Olalier. And
Hey.
Yes, so he is...
I'm really impressed that you can pronounce his last name like that. It rolls right off.
After the first time.
That rolled off the tongue well.
Yes, it really does. Because there are some other words.
I'll approve it.
Like, say horticulture.
No, you say horticulture. Got it. Anyway. Anyway, he is the executive director of Next Generation Men and Women, an organization that is fantastic. You've been on the show a couple times, Phil, so we know the organization really well. We've had a chance to do a little bit of volunteering with the organization. Mm-hmm. Love it. But for those people who don't know about Next Gen Men and Women, give us a rundown of what it is and, of course, the mission.
Sure. Well, first off, thank you for having me. It's good to see you again. Yeah. And Next Gen is we're an education nonprofit that operates in the college and career preparedness space, specifically addressing opportunity gaps facing our under-resourced high school students, so young men and women who attend Title I high schools in Atlanta public schools and Fulton County schools. But really working to create a path to graduation and success after high school through exposure. And you all were gracious enough to host a group of young men and women here at your office. And through support, personalized support after school with teachers and college mentors. Our big motto is if every youth can see it and experience it, they can become it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about how the organization started. So the organization was started by teachers.
Mm-hmm. It was.
So tell us a little bit of how it got started. And I think that's important because it's folks that were in the trenches already. They were with Teach America, right?
3 Teach for America
Teach
educators.
for America. I'm like, there's a word missing. Mm-hmm. I missed one. Yeah. Teach for America. So they are really kind of in there and saw the need and said, hey, we need to do something else.
Yeah, so the origins of Next Gen can be traced directly into the classroom. So on the front lines and 3 educators who just saw a need at that time, specifically focusing on boys and young men of color, looking at lagging data just regarding graduation rates and post-secondary attainment rates, wanting to create positive exposure opportunities for young men at the time to step into different work environments and engage and interact with a variety of professionals, just to have a better sense of what's out there and to be excited about their futures and to root it in what's possible beyond the 4 walls of high school. But more importantly, coupling that with personalized support. So each cohort is assigned a teacher on site and a college mentor who is attending one of our local colleges. And they're meeting with our students twice a week and just walking them through a curricula rooted in a lot of personal identity, team cohesion building, post-secondary pathway exploration. So we're big proponents of options and not just, bracketing our students between one specific path. So we're agnostic. We say if the 4-year track is aligned with your goals and your interests, then go down that route. But 2-year vocational and technical tracks are viable, as are military service and gainful employment right out of the gate. So it's really arming and equipping our young men and now women. We folded in women 2 years into our operation, just providing them with a sense of what's out there and giving them the opportunity to pick and choose what's the best path for them.
Yeah, that's great. And it's been great to see the evolution of Next Gen, because the organization was just getting ready to add the women to it when the first time.
Because I want to say that we talked to Ian before, because I don't even know if you were there when we first had Next Gen on.
Yeah.
So when they won, what was it, Philanthropist?
The Spark Prize.
Yeah, the Spark Prize.
Yeah.
So it's been it's been 3 years or so that we've seen some evolution of the organization, and it's been really great to see how it's grown and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of growth.
I know.
Yeah.
We are
You're
about
busy.
to kick. Very busy. Our entire team is busy, but we're excited. This is year number 5 for the organization. When I started late 2017 fall, we had 5 cohorts of students and roughly 50, 60 students. And so now we're stepping into a program year where we have 16 cohorts of young men and women, 250 students. And so 16 teachers, 16 college mentors, loving on, counseling, guiding, encouraging, and supporting our young men and women. So
now
we're
we know
excited.
why you canceled on us a couple times before.
It's been busy.
Too busy for the good work.
Been busy.
I know. But you're still working with APS and Fulton County Schools, and I think you and I ran into each other one day, and I was like, oh, when can we get you to come to DeKalb? And I'm sure Next Gen gets that, though. As much success as you had, and working with you've gotten the Spark Prize. People know now. Next Gen. Yeah. What's coming for the future? And I know we're early on in the conversation. We got a lot of interview to do for you, but I think this is great. We're talking about the growth of the organization. I know as an executive director, you've got to have, strategy. Where are we going? What are we going to do next? What's Next Gen's plans?
Yeah, I think for us, growth involves responsibility, just added responsibility. And so we're focused on 4 primary buckets as we continue to grow and grow. I was going to say smartly. I don't know if that's a word, but just efficient.
We use a lot of non-words.
Efficient
really bad that we're talking
intentional
to
growth.
I know. Anything's a word.
So we're focused on a lot of financial sustainability, right? So when we started, we were a young kind of pup organization. And now that we're growing and scaling, ensuring that we're not overly reliant on one specific fundraising stream or donor, but that we have a mixed bag of financial support and resources to fuel the work that we're doing. Another big bucket for us is just our programming. So we're continuing to tighten the screws and just make sure that at every stage from 9th grade to 12th grade, we're creating a process and a journey for our young men and women that is grade level and gender specific. And so making it culturally relevant. The majority of our students are Black and brown young men and women who live in communities really that aren't affording them with too many opportunities to step outside of their surrounding areas and just see what's possible in our own backyard here in Metro Atlanta. And so we're working to just make life easier for our partners, you all, to host our students and ensure that those experiences are worthwhile and meaningful for all parties. Strategic partnerships, stakeholder engagement.
Well, we know how to do that.
Yeah. And we're building out. I think again, it's, we never had a strategic plan.
Because Elaine just threatened me, apparently.
Elaine, we would love to add you to the squad.
No, she threatened to fire me. So,
that was just a joke.
But, I may need somewhere to go, so just let me know.
No, there's been a lot of internal systems and just people-focused work, just having the right women and men around the table to do this work. And be purposeful with how we move forward and grow, as well as just growing out our governance structures. So having the right women and men on our board and our advisory council to just provide strategic counsel, support, expertise, so we continue to grow smartly.
Yeah, no, that's great.
I'm owning that word.
Yes, own it. So talk to us a little bit about how we have a couple minutes left and we'll get deeper, but explain the structure of the program, because I think that's one of the things that's always been so interesting about you. Talked about you threw out the word cohort a couple of times. So let's explain what that means and how it differs from kind of the traditional, which is still great, kind of like boys and girls, not boys and girls, Big Brother, Big Sisters, whereas one-on-one. So what is the difference between that program and then how y'all structure everything with your cohorts?
Yeah, so we are really looking to build systems of support for our students. So unlike your traditional 1v1 mentor-mentee pair, you only have one shot to get it right. And sometimes it works. And, that mentor has everything from personal to professional, as well as availability to pour into that young man or young woman. But for us, we look at it as an opportunity for us to build these student cohorts starting their 9th grade year. The teacher is effectively a mentor, so someone on site who's accessible, who understands the amenities, the resources on site, and then pairing that teacher with a college student who's only a few years removed from being a high school student themselves. And so that's a very different value proposition that they're providing our students with, but both are valuable, right? The expertise and the seasoning of an educator, as well as someone who's a bit younger, but just went through the process of trying to figure out what that next step beyond high school is going to be, as well as the peers, right? So these cohorts are formed, 15 to 20 young men or young women make up or comprise a student cohort, and they remain together until they graduate. So 4 years, meeting twice a week after school, and going on exposure trips every 4 to 6 weeks to different local companies and colleges to engage with a variety of career options as well as professionals. And so it's a fraternity, it's a sorority, and they love on and support one another, not only to the finish line, which is graduation, but beyond, which is post-secondary, college, or career.
Yeah. And you guys have you had a cohort yet go from freshman all the way through?
Yeah.
We have. So this past spring was our second cycle of having a graduating cohort that completed the full program.
Nice.
So we had 2 back in spring 18, and this past spring we had 1. So now we have alums, and we're having to think about the back end of our process. How do we continue to be a resource? Because the work is not done. Hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit about just the everyday realities that many of our young men and women are experiencing in their neighborhoods and within their schools, which make a compelling case for why Next Gen is needed.
Yeah, absolutely. So Phil, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and we should talk about next gen games, because that's always pretty fun. And then, we want you to share some success stories too. I think, one super impactful. I will never forget the group of girls that we hosted at Goodwill.
Yeah.
They were awesome, but it was also a really interesting day for lots of different reasons, but encouraging those folks who are listening to take advantage of that opportunity that we did. So anyway, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more. So stick with us, audience. You are listening to The Good Work Show.
To learn more about the show and how your company can tell their story, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @GoodWorkShow.
Audience, welcome back to The Good Work Show. We have been chatting with Phil Lallier, who is the Executive Director of Next Generation Men and Women. an organization that is doing some fantastic work. We've had on the show 3 times now. I think you might be the most regular guest besides Goodwill.
I think you truly. Yeah. I think you really. It's like every year we're just you know what, we need a really great show. Yes. We need to talk to a really great organization.
So let's call Phil. Yeah. But doing lots of great work with our youth in Fulton County and APS, and really connecting those who are really probably most at risk in some cases at Title I schools, giving them exposure to see professionals in so many different avenues, and then helping them as a group navigate through high school and even on to post-secondary, whatever that means for them, which I think is very important when you mention that, because it's also a principle that we believe in at Goodwill, because it doesn't matter what door you go in as long as you're successful. And sometimes that might mean technical college. Sometimes that might mean going to work. Sometimes that
those
does
are great
mean
jobs, great careers.
Exactly. 2-year, 4-year college, but there are options, and no one path is best for everyone. There's something, individual for everyone. So anyway, but before we took a break, we were chatting about a little bit the opportunity we had at Goodwill and the marketing team to host a group of young women to come, and they were great. And by the way, let's just talk about how winners connect with other winners. They were also the winner of the Next Gen Games, right?
This
and
is
they were
true.
bragging on that.
They were very excited.
They were
about
very
that.
excited
got 'em
about
ready.
that, and they were going into their second games, and clearly, I don't know if they won, but they were clearly gunning for that number 1 spot. But talk to us about Next Gen Games. What is it, and how can folks like us and other professionals get involved and join in?
Yeah, I'll start with the exposure experiences first, and just describing those, and then tie those trips to the games. But exposure experiences are monthly trips that each student cohort takes to a local company or college. And it's an opportunity for them. The trips to work sites typically happen after work hours, so think 5 to 7. And it's an opportunity for them to visit a physical work environment, to tour the facility, to break up into small groups and just sit down with professionals and hear their stories, both personal and professional, as well as engage in occupational activities. And those are really fun, because pairing professionals with students to engage in fun work that steeps our students in the work and the job functions and responsibilities, and kind of thinking and working that professionals actually do. And so we use the trips as a way to really get our students excited about their futures. I think we focus so much on the adults, I should say, focus so much on, you got to graduate high school and you got to go to college. What about the students? What about their buy-in? What about their say in their own future? And so I think being able to crisscross and zigzag and explore small, medium, large size companies, blue collar, skilled trades, financial services, logistics, hospitality, media here, you all hosting a group of our young women.
Sounds like a pitch.
It makes all the difference. And again, tying that to the games is an opportunity for all of the learning and skills development that's happening after school within our student cohorts, with the help and leadership of our teachers and college mentors. We want to make it real. And so the games is just a fun Saturday where students are able to compete in individual and team events. So think of the field days that I'm sure you all
just the
participated in, and
Elena
just the
and I
energy
have talked about
and
how that is like
excitement.
the best day of the school year.
It is,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, besides the last day.
Oh yeah. Which for me, field day usually was near the last day of school. But anyway.
True.
But it's just an opportunity to, and our students know that everything that they're doing after school, delving into personal identity, delving into what are the benefits to a technical vocational track versus, let's say, military service, as well as not only going on these trips, but knowing that you're going to have an opportunity to interview for summer internships, really makes it real and dynamic. And so we tap into our professional network, and 70 odd professionals show up and volunteer to judge events such as personal identity, slam poetry, spoken word, events. We have a kind of an art gallery where students are able to use really kind of art as a form of expression to really detail who they are as men and women, and just all facets of their community, family, interests, etc. 10th grade, our 10th graders are focused on designing small enterprises that are tied to addressing challenges in their community. We have 1v1 debates, so kind of your standard Lincoln-Douglas debate where one student has to take on the affirmative. Yes, all students who graduate high school should go to a 4 2-year college. And then one student will take on no.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all students should go, to the military or work right out of school. So just providing ways and opportunities to have fun, to compete for some friendly competition, but it's all rooted in getting them prepared and kind of steeped in skills, both soft and hard, that are necessary to be prepared, not only to graduate, but to be successful after high school. Something that we experimented this past year with the games that we're hoping to build out this upcoming year is having points of contact from our various community partners who host trips to actually step up to the plate and carve out small group short-term summer internships for our students. Nice. And so we're designing a program for our current juniors who will be rising seniors to not only take these trips, but keep in mind those workplaces, companies, or fields of interest, so that come the Next Gen Games, we'll have, let's say, 8 to 10 different kind of companies that operate in different spaces who are saying, look, you all are going to have a chance to interview for internships. So conducting research, creating LinkedIn profiles, getting resumes and cover letters together, all of the things that we know they're going to need, not only to graduate, but to be prepared post-secondary, making it fun, making it light, making it experiential.
That's great. And I got to judge.
Yeah, you did.
I judged the art competition, and it's incredible. Like the stuff that the students came up with, the way the mixed media that they use, and just their explanations of what they created was just remarkable. So I would encourage anybody who has the opportunity to participate, 'cause it was great.
And it'll be next year at the end of March. So we typically have 2 signature events throughout the academic year. The fall event is our networking night, which is not unlike any other networking night that you all have been a part of, outside of the fact that it involves students. So again, making it real, making it hands-on, interactive, and giving our students a chance to network in a professional setting with professionals.
Right. Yeah, cool. So how do folks get involved? Because you mentioned, that they can do the trips, they can be a judge in the games, they can do the professional networking. Soon they'll be able to do the internship piece. What do they need to do, and who's a great a person to be able to involve? I mean, we keep mentioning our involvement in there, but because we asked and because we said, oh, we'll do it. But just for folks who are out there thinking, boy, I work in a really niche environment, or they probably wouldn't think my job is interesting. Yeah. Well, you never know. So tell us about what professionals should be involved in this work with you.
I think for us, the easiest way to support, obviously we're a not-for-profit organization, so financial resources always help. We have our biggest capital raising campaign, which usually starts off with the beginning of the school year in our program cycle. It's called Sponsor a Student. It's roughly $1,300 to cover all program expenses for a student throughout the year. And our goal every single year is to raise enough money to cover a third of all students. And so this year we'll be supporting 250 students. So it's roughly 85 students. We're looking to raise $111,000. Last year our goal was $91,000 and we hit it. And it's ambitious, but we can do it. And so our website is nextgenatl.org. Click the donate button, donate any amount, recurring amount if you can't give a big amount, but can give a little bit every month. That always goes a long way. And then for folks who are interested in hosting trips, I mean, you don't know what you don't know. And so our students, you'd be surprised. Oh, my cube is boring or my office space is boring. For our students, it's not. I mean, they have no other reference point. Right. And so we try our best to really cultivate and build relationships within our 7 primary clusters. So we have media, entertainment, financial services, health sciences, transportation, logistics. I'm blanking on a few, but really it just hospitality, tourism. I mean, it really runs the full gamut, construction being one. So if you're out there and you yourself were the beneficiary of a mentor who helped you not only find your way to your current seat, but sustain it, you'll love the work that we're doing. We're talking a lot about the student benefits, but the benefits for the professionals and just community residents who host and support our young men and women are just through the roof. It's not often that you get a chance to engage and interact with community members from South Atlanta and in parts of towns that our students are coming from. And so there's such a beautiful exchange of perspective. The professionals learn more about the gifts and backgrounds of our students, where they're from, the neighborhoods that they live in, and really leave with just a greater sense and knowledge of who we are as a city. And so not only do we look at it as driving student impact and creating paths to graduation and post-secondary success, but we're literally building community, right? And creating a village here in Atlanta that can support every youth in their goal to find happiness and some level of economic prosperity beyond high school.
Right. Well, Phil, we are out of time, but you have an open invitation back to the show. We will have you on next year. Yeah.
Next month.
Whatever. But anyway, thank you so much to you and the Next Gen team for the work you're doing, and thanks for coming on the show.
Appreciate y'all.
You're listening to The Good Work Show.
To learn more about the show and how your company can tell their story, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @GoodWorkShow.
Audience, and welcome back to The Good Work Show. We are sitting here with Jack Williams, who is the founder and CEO of Ideals Foundation. Jack, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So tell us all about Ideals, the foundation, and what's your mission?
Well, our mission is to help high school young people become more effective leaders and positive role models and develop the life skills that are needed today in order to be successful.
That's a big charge.
I know. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of fun, too.
Okay, good. So tell us a little bit. You're the founder, so you can tell us all about what happened when you were sitting there one day and said, I need to do this, and then you did it. So tell us that story.
Well, I had the good fortune of playing quarterback at Georgia Tech, and then I went into the
Georgia Tech. Wait, this is over. No.
I've heard
As
that
you
before.
can tell, I didn't go to Georgia Tech. I'm not biased at all towards the Bulldogs.
I don't want to drop anything, but we did beat Georgia 3 of the 4 years I played.
Yeah.
So that'll keep you quiet for a little while.
There you go.
If anything could.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Then I coached college football for 7 years, and I got out, and I was just getting more and more annoyed at the negative role modeling that we were seeing by professional athletes. And I said, we got to do something about that. And the pro athletes, excuse me, but they're too far gone. They're not going to change. College athletes were right behind them. But I said, if we could start something at the high school level, that could be impactful. And so I got with some high school athletic directors that I knew through my athletic contact, and I said, let's put up a program for male and female student athletes, and the schools would nominate them as juniors. And we chose juniors because by training in their junior year, both their school and the team would benefit their senior year, because usually some of your most influential students on any high school campus are the athletes. Mm-hmm. I had one principal tell me the 2 most influential groups are the athletes and the troublemakers. Mm-hmm. He said your good students don't, they're not influencers. They just do their thing. Yeah. So that was our target. And we started in 1990. We formed the foundation in 91 while I was still in the business world. And then 93, we held our first class in Atlanta. And this February will be our 27th year of doing that class.
Fantastic. Congratulations on the longevity there.
And I will say, now that you said that you coach football, I'm like, you kind of sound like a ball coach.
I don't know how to take that.
You got that good, quiet,
that's a good thing.
quiet authority. That's what I'm hearing anyway.
Yeah.
So, talk to us a little bit about. So, you started with the leadership school back originally,
Right.
and you've kind of expanded some of the work that you're doing there. So, talk to us a little bit about that, and then what you've expanded into as the organization has grown.
Okay. Well, in 2009, I left the job as a president of a staffing company to devote full time to the foundation, and with the idea originally of expanding the leadership school, and that was going to be a little cost prohibitive. So I started looking at some other options, and we were getting a lot of inquiries from schools in and around Atlanta that were too far to drive to our leadership class because we did it on a Sunday night, and schools that participated were usually about a 30-minute drive. So we started getting inquiries from outside the state and inside the state. So the first thing we did is we created a video program that was based on our leadership school called Student Athlete Leadership Team, or SALT program. And we produced that in 2011, production, professional video production, and started offering that. We were not charging anything for our services. It was funded through the foundation. And that program began in 2011 and ended up in high schools in 28 states.
Oh.
And through our brand kind of getting exposed, Georgia had done a kind of a caravan of the Department of Education personnel and Department of Economic Development touring Georgia, meeting with business owners, asking what can we do to help you. And either the number one or number two thing that came out of those meetings was young people today are turning over rapidly in our employment because they don't possess the soft skills necessary. And they kind of politely said, fix it. And so we were asked to come together and put they call it soft skills, I call it life skills program together. And so we did it for the career tech students in high school originally. And we went back to our production company, filmed a nice program there. And it was an online program that was housed on the Department of Education website. And teachers could, it was designed where teachers didn't have to do any preparation. They flipped on the video. It was a lot of exercises, and all they had to do was facilitate the exercises. Within the State Board of Education, we had a discussion with them, and they wanted us to do a program for all students. So we went back and made some changes that we wanted to make, did a pilot program in 13 high schools around the state, and finished what we call the Next Step program. And it's pretty cool. The videos are 8 to 13 minutes in content. And then the rest of the time is all exercises. It's about a 50-minute program. And I even brought a former teammate in who's a professional magician over 40 years. And so at the end of each video, we did a little magic trick for the kids. So we're rolling that out to Georgia high schools now. And then we're also expanding that into other states. We're starting that process.
Wow. So tell me, who is a student or a student athlete who's eligible for your programming, and how do they get connected to Ideals Foundation?
Well, we left it up originally. I set the kind of the priorities in terms of admissions, and we said we wanted a junior. They had to be a varsity athlete. They didn't have to be the star. They had to have respectable grades. We didn't put a number on it, and they had to. They were someone that the school either needed to be a leader or showed signs of being a leader. And the schools would send us applications, and that just became burdensome because they were all great. I couldn't tell the difference. So after we had a few years, the schools knew what we were looking for. And I said, look, you got 3 kids, you determine who they are. And we've had some schools that I'm not a popular person with the athletic director because parents start lobbying as a 9th grade. I want my kid in your program. And it's funny. We have a lot of social time for the kids, and they compete against each other, and they come in kind of anxious, or I don't know anybody. And we've had, that I know of, we've had 6 marriages come out of the program.
Oh, wow.
Not 9 months later type marriages, but down the road.
Down the road.
And that's that I know of. So, and they stay together.
Pretty cool.
And so it's...
That's great.
Yeah.
So tell us, you've had a lot of kids come through.
Yep.
So share with us, I know that you guys are in the process of actually doing a real benchmark study of the outcomes, but Do you have any just anecdotal stories that you can share with us on some of the kids who've gone through the program and the impact that the program has had on them, and then maybe the impact that they've had on the school?
Really, that's a tough question because there's so many examples. The problem we had, and it was my fault early on, and I was doing it part-time. Back then, they didn't have cell phones, and so all we had for contact information was home address and home phone. So once I started going full-time, I wanted to go back and try to capture some of that information, and I would stay in touch with a lot of them via their email once that became popular. And, we would get, updates on how they're doing in sports. And, I'm already into a leadership role, 5 years out of college and things of this nature. And so one of the things that I wanted to do for our donors that support us for my own benefit and also for our students, because we've had about right at 1,040 kids go through it during that period of time. We try to take about 40 kids. We've started off a little smaller than that. Now we cut it off at about 55. But I wanted to create a database so that kids would be able to have contact with their group because when they go to college, first thing they look for is anybody from Ideals at my college. And then also for networking for them. I have the opportunity. So we're in the process now. I've got some students at Georgia State University who are going to help us go back and try to recreate a database for contacts for kids in our first 10 years that we didn't have. After that, we've got cell phones and we can, we track them that way. But so I'm anxious to be more specific with your question, but a year from now, I'll be able to do so.
Oh, we'll have you back.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will tell one story. I was speaking at an educational conference, a state conference in Georgia this summer, and I was doing a breakout session, and there was a gentleman in the back of the room, and I asked, any Q&A after we presented, and he said, "Can I give a case study?" And I had no idea what's he talking about, and I thought he wanted kind of a similar question that you had, and he said, "I was in Jack's third class,
Wow.
and he was a vendor at the meeting, and he saw in the notebook that Ideals was presenting and sat in and just gave an unbelievable story. Yeah. Unbelievable story. So that's kind of the impact that we have.
Yeah. So Jack, we've got about 2 minutes left. You know what, real quickly, because you've been around students for a long time. I mean, you were a football coach, and so you've been around young people for a while. What do you personally gain from seeing, the leadership development of these students and, where they go? And like the gentleman you just mentioned, now he's a professional there and you're at a conference and you run into him. What does that do for you as a former coach, but then also the head of this organization?
That's why you're in it.
Yeah.
If you're in it for anything other than that, you ought to get out of it. So every time I get a text, which is very frequently, or a letter out of the blue in the mail, just reminds you got to keep plugging.
That's right. Yeah. Well, 27 years into it, that's huge for a founder and an organization, even a nonprofit these days, to go that long. So Ideals is doing something great out there.
Well, we're having fun, and one of the things we talk about with the kids is understanding what your definition of success is. And if we don't have a definition of success personally, we have no choice but to default to what other people, how they define success, and that can be very frustrating. And mine is to be a positive influence in the lives of others, and so that's what that's what motivates me. And we try to get their kids to understand what success means to you. Don't try to live up to somebody else's definition. And we also talk about how important it is to have your personal I believe list. What are the values and priorities? It's an exercise I did 27 years ago, and I read my list. For the first 11 years, I read it every day before going to work, and now I read it every Monday. So I got 27 years of doing that, and I'm on my 9th edition. And so we're trying to create those kind of fundamentals with the kids.
Fantastic. Well, Jack, we appreciate you coming on the show today. Everything Ideals is doing. Quickly, what's the website address?
Ideals is idealsleadership.org.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're listening to The Good Work Show.